this one, it looks very different to people, right? I think people know what to think about it, or at least they have their talking points when they see white officers and Black survivors or Black victims, Black perpetrators. Right? They view that and they know how to respond, right? You'll hear people on the left say that this is police violence. You'll hear some on the right saying that this is just police procedure and that, there's no racist motivation going on. And now we have 5 Black officers and we have a Black victim who has died, unfortunately. And so the question then is like, oh, well, this must be procedure, right? This can't possibly be racism if it's Black on Black violence. But that's not necessarily true. And I'm not taking a stand on either side here, but what I am saying is that these procedures and how we can understand the racial implications of this is by looking at institutions and their procedures and who they affect, not necessarily who's committing them. Because institutionally speaking, we can have procedures that might lead to higher rates of Black deaths, right? That might be going on. And if that's the case, that is, a racialized system. That's not necessarily bad apples. Like these police officers who end up involved in these shootings, they themselves are often depicted as these independent perpetrators and the people to blame, right? When overall, this might be a system effect that has racialized outcomes. So we should look at it more holistically as, this is more of the same. This is clearly indicating that maybe there are some racial outcomes that have to do with the particular procedures involved. This was a task force. We tend to see task force involved in these types of controversies. So I'm not quite sure if that's the root cause of it, but I think it's important to demarcate between what we would call bad apples and maybe the bad barrel effect. So how do we solve this? We could punish those bad actors involved and say that it was all their fault. Or we could unpack it a little bit more and see what are the procedures in place that make Black Americans significantly more likely to die of police-involved shootings than white Americans, than most other racial groups in America. We have to at least look into that without having any judgment whatsoever in terms of what the motivations of the personal officers were or the police department. We need that research. We need to see what those procedures are. And we need to find a way, to solve this issue that, this is more than a random effect. African Americans, Black Americans in the United States are just at a much higher risk of dying from police-involved shootings. And this keeps happening regardless of the race of the officer. So the answer is certainly not to have a more diverse police force, I think we could say. But maybe that would contribute to some sort of grassroots change of police departments, but this certainly pokes hole in the notion that if we had more Black officers, we would have no, Black men die at the hands of police officers. This is sort of what we should be unpacking about the racial dynamics of this particular incident.